Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I am Speedy4, and welcome back to a brand new episode of ModTro64, the show where I basically pick a game and talk about it. Now, the game we'll be taking a look at today is a very special game, because September 9th was the 21st anniversary of the North American launch of SEGA's swan song, the SEGA Dreamcast. And the game we'll be taking a look at today was a launch title for the system. But before I start talking about that game, how about a little history for those who don't know what the SEGA Dreamcast was?
A long time ago in the year 1999, SEGA, a longtime console manufacturer who has seen tremendous success with their 16-bit wonder, the Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive in the UK and Japan, have wanted to renovate and try again after seeing their 5th generation console, the Sega Saturn, sell horribly due to a focus on 2D games, while 3D captivated the gaming landscape at the time. So, wanting to start fresh and bring 3D to the table, they presented us the SEGA Dreamcast on September 9th, 1999. While, sadly, the Dreamcast failed to catch on, and it forced SEGA to go from first-party console manufacturer to third-party game company who releases games on other systems, including their once long-time rival, Nintendo. Also, most of the games are forever trapped on that system, unless SEGA does something about that. Hashtag Dreamcast Classic, please. But despite that, a good chunk of the Dreamcast library has seen ports to other systems, but the game we'll be taking a look at was a launch game for the Dreamcast and kind of a favorite among the Sonic community. That's right, we'll be taking a look at Sonic Adventure. However, instead of the Dreamcast original, which I do own, but sadly I lack a functioning Dreamcast, so instead we'll be taking a look at the Director's Cut, which is functionally the same, but with some slight tweaks to make the models look a little better and refine some glitches and bugs. It was first released on the GameCube, which is what I originally played when I was in middle school, but I also own the Steam release, which is how I'm able to get some clean-looking footage. Now, obviously, with any Sonic title, there's always some form of controversy when it comes to Sonic's early outing in 3D, but let's see if Sonic Adventure is still any good, or if it's forever flawed.
Before we start actually getting into the video, I just want to mention that I would have gotten this video out a little bit sooner, but there we go. I had a little too much fun with friends.
When you start up the game, you get this sick opening. I just love how epic this intro is. It shows us a city in peril, and it shows off the characters you'll be able to play as in the game. and with Eggman posed dramatically to show that he's the antagonist you'll be fighting against. But you'll also see this weird water monster. Who is this creature, and what does it want? Well, we have to play the game in order to find out. As you can see, there are other characters, but in order to unlock them, we have to play as Sonic first. So, we pick our blue boy and we get started. We first see Sonic jumping from rooftop to rooftop, having a blast.
Oh yeah! This is happening!
But soon he sees some police cars frantically driving to what can only be described as an emergency. So, Sonic tails them, and we soon see that they were trying to deal with some water creature. Their weapons are useless, cause how can you shoot water? And Sonic takes on the creature. Apparently this thing is named Chaos Zero, which is odd, but it does sound cool. What's really interesting is that we're starting off with a boss fight instead of a level. Kind of unique at the time, but I can imagine this will be a little intimidating to newer players. However, the controls are easy to understand. The A button is to jump, and if you tap it again in the air, you'll do a homing attack. This was actually the first game to introduce the homing attack. It basically does what the name suggests, it homes in on enemies. The X button does the classic spin attack. The longer you hold it, the further you go. The left stick moves you around, and the left and right shoulder buttons rotate the camera. But the first fight with Chaos isn't that difficult, which is okay, because he is technically the first boss, and usually the first boss isn't difficult. Anyway, we defeat Chaos and have Eggman menacingly laughing at us from the rooftops.
You know nothing, fool! It's Chaos, the god of destruction!
Later, Sonic is chilling out at a hotel by the pool, but then he sees his little buddy, Tails, crash land into the nearby beach.
Ah! Tails!
So, he goes to check on Tails to see if he's okay. And we're on to our first level, Emerald Coast. Seeing this stage just brings back pleasant memories of running through the stage and listening to that music. In fact, that is the one thing that most Sonic fans would agree that Sonic games really excels at. The music. In fact, all of the music in Sonic Adventure is really good. They perfectly invoke a certain kind of feeling each stage is meant to have. Emerald Coast is just a coastal beach. The stage itself is pretty good. It's got some neat little side areas that reward people who stop for a second to look around, or be adventurous and take the less beaten path. After running through, we managed to rescue Tails. He says that he was testing out a new power source for his plane, which is a Chaos Emerald.
Whoa! A Chaos Emerald!
Yep, I just happened to find one of the 7 emeralds during one of my test flights. This thing's got unlimited power, you know. So I figured, why not use it to power my plane? Supercharged!
Kind of a smart move. Eat that, Tesla. He wants us to meet him at his workshop in the Mystic Ruins, which perfectly segues into what we immediately get introduced to, the adventure fields. These are open-world levels where the characters you play can explore and reach other levels. There are 3 in the game, but the one we're in is Station Square, a city which is a weird amalgamation of New York City, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Boston. Interesting choice of cities, considering I've been to Philadelphia, and it's a great place to visit.
Hey, shout out to Santucci's Pizza. Love your pizza, my dudes and dudettes.
Anyway, we head to the train station, and now we're in the Mystic Ruins. We head to Tails' workshop and...
If it isn't Sonic!
Look, it's a giant talking egg!
Silence!
It's Dr. Robotnik!
Greatest scientific genius in the world!
Whatever you say, Eggman!
Fun fact, after this game, this was the moment Dr. Eggman was the official yet worldwide accepted name for the evil genius. Why? Because for the longest time there was a huge divide between the East and West Sonic communities, where everyone in Japan, and in some parts of the UK, called him Dr. Eggman, while the US called him Dr. Robotnik. And it was Sonic Adventures that helped put the Robotnik name to rest. They even alluded to this in Sonic Generations.
He had a little help.
Dr. Robotnik!
Nobody calls me that anymore.
Anyway, he wants our Chaos Emerald, and he threatens us with his Eggmobile. The Egg Hornet, the second boss we must fight. This one isn't that hard either, but he can catch you off guard if you're careless. But after 3 hits, he goes down easy. But while we're not looking, he snatches the emerald from Tails and gives it to Chaos, which makes him stronger, and somehow gives him bones.
Don't question it.
Anyway, Eggman's goal is to give Chaos all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and have him level Station Square so that it's rubble and he can build Robotnik Land,
Ultimate City, where I will rule it all! Come on, Chaos! Let's find another emerald, shall we?
and soon he disappears. This gives Sonic and Tails a goal: find the emeralds and keep them from Eggman and Chaos. So we head to Tails' workshop and pick up this weird stone. One thing that's kind of neat is that some levels are sealed off unless you unlock them with certain items you find in the adventure field. This wind stone unlocks this area, which leads to the second level, Windy Valley. Windy Valley is a good stage to run through, mainly because the first section is incredibly short, which is not that bad considering that there are areas which make use of the homing attack. Which is good because this level is also kind of a way to test your skills with the homing attack and kind of let you get used to the controls. But at one point, you'll get sucked up into a tornado, which you then somehow climb out of.
Again, don't question it.
And then you end up in the sky with a really good remix of Green Grove Zone from Sonic 3D Blast. In fact, there are a few songs in Sonic Adventure's soundtrack that are actually just remixes from Sonic 3D Blast. I'll be sure to point them out if I come across them. But back to talking about Windy Valley, I just love this section of the level. It's super fun to run through this section of the stage at high speeds. Plus, you cannot lie that when you saw Sonic running on the air, that was the coolest thing you've ever seen. Anyway, after grabbing the emerald, we then head to Station Square and head to the sewers? Yeah, not only are there certain items hidden in the adventure fields, but there are also upgrades the characters can get that gives them new abilities. These are kind of a staple to Sonic these days, but here we can find the Lightspeed shoes, which allow him to perform the Lightspeed Dash.
The Lightspeed Dash lets you race toward rings at light speed. As long as there's a trail of rings, you can go just about anywhere.
There's also another upgrade you can get right away. It's 100% optional, as most of the upgrades, but a good chunk of them are required to continue in the game. But if you head to the hotel and head up the stairs, you can use the Lightspeed Dash to get the Crystal Ring, which shortens the charge time on the Lightspeed Dash, also giving Sonic a neat little accessory. And is also somewhat the inspiration to his third ult in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. However, getting back on topic, we use our new Lightspeed Dash on this trail of rings to open the casino, and we now play the third stage, Casinopolis. It's basically a casino, where the main goal is to play some pinball tables to collect enough rings to fill up a vault, allowing us to reach the emerald. The pinball tables are themed after Sonic and Nights into Dreams, 2 games Sonic Team has worked on. My favorite is the Knights table, and I can get more than enough rings from this pinball table. Now, I've already got enough rings to get the emerald, but I'd be neglecting part of the stage if I just continued on. So if you fall out of the table 3 times and get less than 100 rings, you end up in the sewer section under Casinopolis, which is more like an actual stage. It's pretty dull to be honest, but hey, the music is pretty groovy. We then climb out and end up in the showers.
Oh, my.
After getting the emerald, Eggman jumps us and knocks us out with some gas. We still have the emerald from Windy Valley, but the one we just got from Casinopolis got snatched. So, we have to step up our game. We then see... Cream! So, in the DX version of Sonic Adventure, sometimes you'll see Cream the Rabbit make an appearance, dropping off certain items to help progress the game, or just making a cameo appearance. Now, in the original, she was put in as a somewhat advertisement for Sonic Advance 2, and she looked great. But here, I don't know if it's just the Steam version or if it's my computer or something, but Cream seems to have a glitchy after image of herself after flying by. Like she's a ghost or something.
I mean, it's kind of fitting considering we hardly ever see her anymore, other than the IDW comics, the spin-offs, and maybe a few mobile games here and there. Bring back Cream, Sega.
While I'm talking about some glitchiness, it wouldn't be a review if I just sang nothing but praises and did not address any issues. Now, as big of a Sonic fan I am, and by that I mean I'm a huge fan, there are some things about Sonic Adventure that have not aged well. For one thing, collision detection. Now, most of the time you'll land on areas with no problem at all whatsoever, but if you reach a certain speed and hit an object just right, you can clip through the stage. It's nothing too bad or annoying, but it does pose some slight inconveniences. Also, while the game itself looks okay, what I forgot to mention is that the DX version of Sonic Adventure suffers from a bad porting job. Now, I never knew this when I was younger, and I played this on my GameCube, and it ran just fine. While the models look good, this version uses a different lighting engine, which makes most of the levels feel washed out in terms of color. Also, different textures that don't look as good. And there's other things in this rendition of Sonic Adventure that I will discuss later in the video. For now, let's get back to the game. Now we have the Ice Stone, and a hole opened up in the Mystic Ruins. So we go there, and we use the key to open up an icy area, which happens to be the 4th stage, Ice Cap. Which is funny enough, supposedly the same Ice Cap from Sonic 3. However, there's some huge differences here. For example, we're on a mountain this time, and we make our way through the caverns and... Okay, another thing I have to mention is the sound mixing. The sound mixing can be off at times. We have this chill yet ominous track playing in the background. But then it gets drowned out by the... There's more than one case where one particular sound effect drowns out the music due to how close you are to the source. But my solution is to simply lower the sound effects volume and the options upon startup. It helps a little bit, but it's still noticeable and a tad annoying. Also, this only works with the PC port of Sonic Adventure DX, so console owners of the GameCube, PS3, and Xbox 360 cannot adjust the volumes. Now, back to talking about Ice Cap. It's a pretty chill level, no pun intended.
I lie, it was intended!
But in all seriousness, this level is pretty neat. You hop from icicle to icicle, you work your way up until you cause a huge ice stalactite to fall and act as a bridge to the second part of the stage. Snowboarding! Oh yeah, this is more like the Ice Cap I know. Snowboarding down a snowy mountain at high speeds, all while rocking out to some guitar riffs and saxophone wails. After grabbing the emerald, we then run into Knuckles, who...
What's up, Knuckles? Something bugging you?
No time for games, Sonic. Give me the emeralds you have, right now!
What? Let's just see you take them, huh?
And yes, we fight Knuckles. Another thing I forgot to mention is that each time you meet a character, you unlock them to play through their story. Sometimes it's as simple as running into them and talking to them. Other times, you have to fight them. And in this case, we fight Knuckles. And he's pretty easy to fight, not gonna lie. You just gotta dodge his punches, and each time you hit him, you'll hear his classic damage sound.
Oh no!
It's its own meme due to how cheesy it is and how frequent you'll be hearing this. After defeating Knuckles, we then have our emeralds knocked out of us, which then Eggman steals and gives to Chaos, who now has 4 emeralds inside him. Also looking more like a fish this time. We learned that Knuckles was tricked into attacking us.
Me? What about you?
Way to go, Knucklehead!
And then we fight Chaos 4? Oh, I get it. When he was Chaos 0, he had 0 emeralds. Now he's Chaos 4, which he has 4 emeralds. It's kinda clever. It also kinda acts like a power rating on how strong Chaos has gotten. But one thing about this particular boss fight is that it's kinda iffy. I mean, I'm able to fight him with no problem, but having the fight take place in a lake with giant lily pads is kind of messy. I mean, how am I able to stand on water? This makes me feel like I'm on quicksand, not water. Now, a bit of a spoiler, but when you fight Chaos 4 as Tails and Knuckles, they have an infinitely better time dealing with him than Sonic does, because they're able to fly or glide. All Sonic can do is flare around like a kid who forgot his water wings. Not a bad boss fight, but a little iffy. After defeating Chaos, we then get treated to a cutscene where Eggman's flying fortress, the Egg Carrier, is introduced.
Behold my floating masterpiece, the Egg Carrier! But it pales in comparison to the power of chaos. Adieu, until we meet again, my friends!
And can I just say how much I love the Egg Carrier? I'm surprised Eggman doesn't keep making newer versions of this in future games. I mean, he technically has, but that's a different game and a different video altogether. He then gets beamed into a ship, thus prompting Sonic and Tails to chase after him in the tornado, which then leads us into a sub-game, Sky Chase, Part 1. Now, sub-games are just that. They're a part of the story, but they offer a smaller section of gameplay. Here, we fly in the tornado shooting down jets, floating mines, and turrets, until eventually we get shot down by the Egg Carrier's main laser cannon. This splits up Sonic and Tails, with Sonic ending up back in Station Square somehow.
You're not who I'm looking for.
We look around and, oh look, we end up running into Amy. Who is the best girl? I mean, she's kind of the inspiration for my main OC, Arrow, but we're not here to talk about her. We're here to talk about her. She's basically looking out for this little birdie with a pendant around its neck, because some robot is chasing after it.
Listen, this birdie seems to be in trouble, so you need to be his bodyguard for a while.
You must be kidding!
We then follow Amy into Twinkle Park, because cute couples get in free.
And they do make a cute couple.
But Twinkle Park is also the 5th stage we play through. And what can I say? It's an amusement park, but the beginning part where you ride around in floating bumper cars uses a really good remix of Panic Puppet Zone from Sonic 3D Blast. Also, am I the only one, or whenever Sonic jumps on a ramp, he sounds a tiny bit like Roger Rabbit? Anyway, after that section, we explore Twinkle Park, which, let me say, is very chaotic. You got bowling, merry-go-rounds of spiky death, pools, monkeys chucking bombs at you, Not only that it feels a little too open, I mean, I can still follow it and know where to go, but Twinkle Park, despite having a good track with some interesting ideas, I feel is one of the weaker stages in Sonic Adventure. But still, that Panic Puppet remix slaps hard. Ow. We seem to have lost track of Amy. We look around Station Square and find an ID card. We use it to get into this building, which leads us into Stage 6, Speed Highway. This is my all-time favorite stage in Sonic Adventure. The way the roads just twist and curl, running on the sides of buildings, the epic music. There is a very good reason we got to see Speed Highway in Sonic Generations. It's because this is one of Sonic Adventure's best stages. Especially with that one section where Sonic run-downs a building and then we later go on into the same city, but in the morning. Sure, it's very easy to fall off of in the first part of the stage if you're a little too cocky, but it's still super fun to run through. Anyway, after going through Speed Highway, we still haven't found Amy. But then we see Amy get taken away by a robot that looks like a green trash bin.
I'll cut him off at the Mystic Ruins!
By running there?
No, we take the train.
Ah, phooey.
We catch up to the robot, but gets beamed up into the egg carrier, and Sonic tries to chase after it. We head a little deeper into the Mystic Ruins, and we find Sonic's final upgrade, the Ancient Light, which allows Sonic to use the light speed attack, which is like the Lightspeed Dash, only instead of rings, you attack enemies. Which we use to open this gate that leads us into Stage 7, Red Mountain. It's very vertical, considering we're traveling up the side of a rocky volcano with parts bursting with lava and those flying helicopter bats we saw in Speed Highway. But the real challenge comes when you go inside Red Mountain. All of a sudden, we get this funky yet spooky track aptly named Red Hot Skull, which has a series of tunnels, open lava chambers, and ghosts inside these cells. And they sport the old school look of a prisoner, which leads me to believe that these are the ghosts of criminals from the past,
And their punishment was to be locked up and burned alive for their heinous crimes whenever the volcano erupts.
Woo! That went to someplace dark real quick. Oh, I know! Trivia!
Did you know this track uses samples from the hip-hop remix of Ghetto Red Hot by Supercat? Now, I can't play it due to copyright, but seriously, look it up. It'll blow your mind. Anyway, after getting through the depths of Red Mountain, we later meet up with Tails, who is flying the Tornado 2, and this leads us into Sky Chase. Part 2. It's like before, but only this time we're in a storm, and we see the first instance of the Tornado 2's jet mode.
Let's do it!
And after taking out most of the egg carrier's defenses and main laser cannon, we then land on the egg carrier.
We gotta land on the egg carrier!
Whoops. I forgot something.
What's that?
There's no landing gear in this mode.
What?
Nah, we land just fine. After all, any crash you can walk away from is a good one. Wait a second. But yeah, we're officially on the egg carrier, and Eggman has changed the shape of the ship to pull the bridge away from Sonic and Tails, and this leads us into Stage 8, Sky Deck. Sky Deck is a pretty good level, but it has its flaws. The opening section, for Sonic that is a little rough. There's not a lot of areas for Sonic to run, and even if you do have the legroom to run, you're dodging a bombardment of cannon fire, spiky balls, and tight passages, and trying to navigate an overturned ship. After getting through there, we're inside the egg carrier, where we take an elevator up to the bridge where we see Eggman taking a bird from Amy. which was carrying a Chaos Emerald. We then fight E102 Gamma. And after defeating him, Amy defends Gamma, because apparently he let Amy escape. After that, Sonic changes the ship back to its original shape, and we head over to that weird platform in the center, and we see Chaos 6. We also see Big the Cat, perhaps a character of both fame and infamy, due to how much of a meme he is. I personally like him. He's just a big, lovable dork who's just a big softie. But apparently his best friend, Froggy, who is in fact a frog, is also inside Chaos. So Sonic helps Big defeat Chaos. Chaos 6's boss fight is pretty good. He's got a decent variety of attacks. I think out of a couple different bosses in Sonic Adventure, I think Chaos 6 is one of my favorites.
And fighting Chaos 6 is pretty easy. All you have to do is dodge his attacks while Eggman tries and chuck these freeze bots at you to freeze you in place. Hit him with a homing attack and they'll malfunction, allowing you to pick them up. And you can either wait for Chaos to suck you into his mouth, or chuck the malfunctioning gizmos into his gaping maw and freeze him in place.
He's heating up. Boom shakalaka!
Hit him 4 times and he's done for.
After defeating Chaos, Sonic chases after Eggman by jumping off the egg carrier. Sonic lands in the jungle section of the Mystic Ruins, and the temple nearby starts to open up, and a mystical light beckons him to enter. This opens up to level 9, Lost World. No, not that one. Get that one out of here. We have an ancient temple-themed level, giving off some slight Tomb Raider vibes. But in any case, this is my second favorite level, and for the complete opposite reason of Speed Highway. It's a slower stage in terms of how you progress, but it's got some really good hallways to build up speed, and I think I'm the only one who actually likes the giant stone snake section, where in order for you to open the door, you need to raise the water level by pressing switches. Now, despite this temple having booby traps and meant to be mystic and foreboding, but I feel at peace with this level. At least in the first part of the stage, because the second part really ramps up in pace. The dark hallway where you have to light up a path using mirrors, the clear Indiana Jones reference, and this room where you have to walk up walls using these tiles. After getting through that, we reach the center of the temple, and we see a mural depicting what Chaos would look like if he had all 7 Chaos Emeralds, looking somewhat like a basilisk. We then somehow see a glimpse of the past, where we see a shrine on fire, Chow, dead, or maybe unconscious, yeah, most likely unconscious, on the floor, and an echidna girl using the Master Emerald to do something. We then flash forward back to the present, and we see Eggman flying to his base in the Mystic Ruins. Although conveniently, there's a passage over here. We head inside and we see Silver Sonic and Metal Sonic? Luckily they're in stasis spots, so we don't have to deal with them. We do have to deal with this puzzle though. Okay, there we go. Anyway, we head into stage 10, the final stage, which is obviously called Final Egg.
Of course!
Final Egg is a really fun stage. It's got the right amount of obstacles and speed, and also the music for the level just kicks so much ass. The first section is really groovy and makes me think of psychedelic rock. There's also these giant turbines where I basically try to match up the speeds of the turbine and Sonic's running until they're both at an equal pace. It's just something I like to do for no reason at all whatsoever. However, the second part of the stage focuses more on platforming and speed, because now we're over a pit, and one wrong move and you fall down. Even though some places you can still control Sonic. Weird, but the music in this section is really good, and thanks to the classic that is Sonic Shorts, I will forever have these lyrics stuck in my head.
Get better, get better. Kill Sonic with a laser, and then he'll be dead. And I can do my evil stuff. Come on, Sonic, feel my funky rhythm. Oh, that's groovy. Ready for my robot Sonic? Aye, aye!
eyes! My eyes!
But then, after that section, we switch back to the normal music, with this final section of the stage, which appears to be a shooting range for Eggman's robots. And then after we take on the final stage, we then come face to face with the final boss of Sonic's story, the Egg Viper. Out of all the bosses in Sonic's story, the final one is by far the best. It's got tricky patterns, different phases, attacks that test your knowledge of Sonic's moves, and even when you know what you're doing, Eggman will catch you off guard if you're too cocky. Even when you defeat him, Eggman will try to take you out by crashing into you. We then cut to the end of Sonic's story, where we hear his theme song for this game. It doesn't matter. I honestly love this rendition of it than the remix in Sonic Adventure 2. But I will say each time you finish a character's story, you have to sit through the credits of this game. You can't fast forward and you can't skip it. You have to sit there and watch the credits of Sonic Adventure all while listening to that character's theme. I don't mind this because I like the music of Sonic Adventure, but I can see this being a bit tiring if you play this game in one sitting. However, I usually just tend to walk away, stretch my legs, and maybe get something to drink.
Refreshing.
But with Sonic's story done, we now move on to the second story, which is Tails. Now technically you can go in any order you want, but I'm going in order of who we met in the story, and Tails is our next character. Now, considering some parts of the story overlap Sonic's, I will be skipping certain parts as to not repeat myself. So, we see Tails testing out his new power source for his plane, but we already know what happens to that venture.
No! Ah! I'm out of control! Mayday! Mayday! Going down! Ah! Look out below!
But, interesting enough though, we don't go through Emerald Coast. Instead, we skip over to the Egg Hornet. But before we go, we're gonna go to the sewers and pick up Tails' first upgrade, the Jet Anklets, which allow him to fly faster. Now we can do the fight. And it's basically the same as Sonic's, but Tails doesn't have a spin attack, despite having it in older games. Instead, Tails' abilities are being able to fly for a short time, rolling into a ball if you're moving fast enough, or if you stand still, Tails can do the tail attack. But you rarely ever use it in the beginning, so it's not used that often. But it does become useful later down the road. Anyway, you know the drill. Eggman steals the emerald, chaos grows bigger, and we hunt for the emeralds. However, the stages we visit have a slight twist. While in Sonic stages, you have to reach to the end of the stage, in Tails stages, you're also trying to get to the end. But the difference is that you have to race Sonic to the end and get there first. Yeah, Tails has to race against the fastest thing alive. But to be honest, I think Sonic is intentionally keeping himself slow. Sure, he may take the lead and catch up on you, but if you listen to some of Sonic's words, he seems to be cheering on Tails.
Come on, Tails!
Which is kind of fitting, due to how Tails is seen as the little buddy to Sonic's cool dude. It's pretty encouraging seeing Sonic cheer on Tails when he overtakes him. Not to mention, it encourages the player to use Tails' advantage of being able to fly to the best of their abilities. Anyway, after grabbing the emerald, we then head back to Station Square and enter Casinopolis. But this time, we're in the underground section. This stage is a bit of a close call. What with all the narrow hallways, spiked balls scattered everywhere, and if it wasn't for the long hall at the end of the stage, Sonic would have beaten me. Anyway, we got the emerald. But like before, Eggman guesses us and steals the emerald. Grab the ice key to unlock the ice cap, and this time we skip to the snowboarding section. Which is good, because if it was the first section, Tails would have easily beaten Sonic due to the fact that that part of the level is more vertical than horizontal. We grab the emerald and fight Knuckles, and then Chaos 4 again. Now, with Tails' abilities, Chaos 4 is much easier to deal with, because, like I said before, with Tails' ability to fly, it makes avoiding Chaos and getting out of the water much easier. We win, and then we see from Tails' perspective of him getting in the tornado. And then we head into Sky Chase. which is exactly the same. But now we get to see where Tails was after he was shot down, and this leads us into a flashback of him and Sonic. First meeting?
Which is odd, due to the fact that both Sonic and Tails first met on South Island in Sonic 2 on the Genesis.
This is something you'll see in Sonic Adventure. Sometimes they'll use the adventure fields, or stages, as set pieces for recreating key moments from past Sonic games. It's kind of clever, but it's also kind of an odd choice. I'll let it slide due to having only 2 instances of this happening in the game. Anyway, Tails decides that the only way to take on the egg carrier is by finishing his prototype, which I'm assuming is the Tornado 2. But first, we need to find a Chaos Emerald. So we head into the jungles of the Mystic Ruins and find a Chaos Emerald.
Well, that was easy.
But then Froggy shows up and swallows it and hops away. But this leads into a new subgame which is exclusive to Tails' story. Sand Hill. It's pretty much like the snowboarding section in Ice Cap, only the difference here is that instead of snow, it's sand. And you basically try to see how many goals you can go through before the streak is broken. This one is a little tougher due to obstacles and some poor collision detection in some places. But it's really fun, and what's even more interesting is that this subgame is referenced in Sonic Forces.
There's sand everywhere! Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sand Hill right now.
And is a track in Team Sonic Racing as Sand Road. That's pretty cool, not gonna lie. After grabbing Froggy, Tails is transported back in time, but this time, we're in a village. And if we go over here, we can pick up Tails' final upgrade. Now Tails can do a continuous tail attack, and we can move him around by using the control stick, making him
a tornado of destruction.
We then talk with this Echidna girl we saw back in Sonic's story. She was reciting something her grandmother had taught her.
The servers are the 7 Chaos. Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos. But I'm still not sure what it all means. But the number 7 is the same as the number of emeralds there are.
Emeralds?
Forgive me, but I don't think we've ever met before. I'm Tikal, and you are?
And just as it suddenly happened, we're suddenly back in the present. Tails still has Froggy, but then...
Whoa! Yikes!
Where's the man?
At least he's got the Chaos Emerald. We then pick up Sonic at Red Mountain and continue through Sky Chase. Part 2, and it's the same as before. We also see Eggman chain the ship just like before, and we have to go through Skydeck again. But this time, in Skydeck, Tails has a huge advantage over Sonic. While Sonic has to navigate the stage the same way he did in his story, Tails can simply just skip huge sections of the stage just by flying over them. Look, by the time I beat the stage, Sonic is a little over halfway. Overall, this is one of Tails' best stages. Although I say one of, but just you wait. This isn't even the peak of how he can break a stage. After getting through the Skydeck, we then fight Gamma again, but with the power of the Robot! And we then rescue Amy and drop her off in Station Square. But then we see Eggman crash land in Station Square as well. So, even with Chaos defeated, he still intends on destroying Station Square by launching a nuke?
Eggman, are you crazy?
Ready? Fire!
Oh god, hit the deck! Huh. We're still alive. Then that must mean...
Oh, no, it was a dud. I can't believe this. I'll go and deal with this myself.
So it's up to Tails to save Station Square from being destroyed, and this leads us into Tails' final stage, Speed Highway. And Tails
absolutely destroys Eggman.
I mean, look at this. I'm just zooming along without a care in the world, and I already beat the level. And he's not even halfway! Pathetic show there, Eggs Benedict. So, we beat Eggman to the missile.
I will make you all pay for this.
Let's get out of here!
You fool. Away, before I make mincemeat out of you.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I can do this!
And we face the final boss, the Egg Walker. And if you thought his performance was bad in Speed Highway, well, he does a little better, but it's still easy. Just as long as you stay under him, dodge his shockwave attacks, and hit the glowing joints afterwards, you'll defeat him in no time. And with that, Tails saves the day, and he returns to the Mystic Ruins to meet up with Sonic. And that is Tails' story. Now, let's move on to Knuckles, shall we? We start off with a shot of Angel Island floating in the sky, and a prologue of Knuckles talking about how he was always alone and is destined to guard the Master Emerald.
Destined to be here forever.
Then, a loud shattering noise wakes him up, and he sees Chaos standing there. And the same mystical light that we see when we ask for hints or when we get transported to the past. Also, the Master Emerald has been shattered. Knuckles tries to attack, but Chaos deflects his attack, and then soon disappears. Then, the entirety of Angel Island starts to shake.
Oh no, it's starting to happen. Without the Master Emerald's power, this whole island will fall into the ocean.
So now, Knuckles must find the shattered pieces of the Master Emerald and put it back together to restore its power and make Angel Island float once more. Our search starts us off going through here, to Speed Highway. But this time, we're in the sunrise/sunset portion of the stage. Now, how Knuckles' gameplay works is that he must run or glide around the stage and find 3 pieces of the Master Emerald, which are scattered or hidden in the stage. And depending on how close you are to an emerald piece, the radar will ping, but it will also flash a color. Blue, meaning you've detected a faint trace of the emerald piece. Green, meaning you're in the same area as the emerald piece. Yellow, meaning you're a little closer but you still need to look around. Pink, meaning you're nearby but you still need to look. And red, meaning you're right on top of it. And this stage is best suited to his abilities. Knuckles can glide and climb walls, just like he did in Sonic 3. But Knuckles can also do a 3-hit punch. You don't use it that often, but it does have its uses. Anyway, after finding the emerald pieces in Speed Highway, we head to Casinopolis. But this time we stick to the casino section of the stage. No pinball for us though. Aw. It's kind of fun looking for the emeralds in here, because this area is very vertical, and there are places that allow Knuckles to climb up, or you can use the springs. But in the center is a giant gold statue of Sonic. Oh, look, a crack. I wonder what happens when we punch it.
You saw nothing.
After collecting the emeralds inside, we see that mystical light again, and it transports Knuckles back into the past.
Where in the world am I? I don't remember being here before. But something about it is familiar.
We then see Tikal trying to talk to her father about how stealing the emeralds from the shrine is wrong. Now, you don't ever hear his name mentioned, but this is Pachakamak. He claims that he wants the 7 emeralds for the good of his people, but in reality, he's just a power-hungry warmonger and simply brushes his daughter's pleas off like it's nothing.
No one has the right to take their holy grounds. I beg you, Father.
After that little flashback is over, we see Sonic and Tails passed out? Oh, this must be that moment where they were gassed by Eggman, which I'm guessing he's nearby. Yep, there he is, with the emerald he stole. But Knuckles thinks it's a Master Emerald piece, so he follows him up the elevator. And then he learns it's just a Chaos Emerald, which Eggman gives to Chaos, and we get to fight this form of Chaos exclusive to Knuckles. Chaos 2. And to my delight, he's actually a decent boss. He has attack patterns you need to avoid, he guards when you try to attack him, and you can only hit him when his guard is down. So while not being too difficult, he's a pretty good boss. After defeating Chaos 2, Eggman plants some doubt in Knuckles' mind by saying that Sonic is also after the emerald pieces. Now, obviously, this is a trick, but Knuckles is a bit of a knucklehead. So, after that, we go over to the Mystic Ruins and head to this little cave, and we immediately get locked in. But that's okay, because we get Knuckles' first upgrade, the Shovel Claw, which allows Knuckles to dig through dirt and stone if you push the jump and action buttons together. However, we're still locked inside, but we dig over here, and we find a monkey self-destruct switch, which we can use on this monkey to open the door, and over here to open up the path to Red. Now, Red Mountain is a stage I feel is best suited to Knuckles. Now sure, when Sonic ran through here, it was pretty good, but this section of the stage with Knuckles is more open to him, due to him being able to glide and climb walls. Plus, now with the new shovel claws, we can dig to find emerald pieces buried in the ground. The fact that this stage can work for both Sonic and Knuckles is really smart, and I think is good level design. After finding the emerald pieces in Red Mountain, he meets up with Sonic again. But hey, we get to play as Knuckles when we fight Sonic. But of course, you already know what happens after this. We fight Chaos 4 one last time. However, like I mentioned with Tails earlier, with Knuckles' ability to glide, this fight is also pretty easy with him. So if I were to rank the Chaos 4 boss fight with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, it'd be Tails, Knuckles, then Sonic. But hey, we don't have to do Sky Chase again! We do, however, head into the jungle and glide over to this cliff to get Knuckles' final upgrade, the Fighting Gloves. They make Knuckles' attacks much stronger, and they allow him to perform the Maximum Heat Knuckles attack. It's basically the Knuckles equivalent to Sonic's light speed attack, but instead of there are no enemies, it makes a ding sound. But we also need to look around for 2 statues, one gold and the other silver.
I funny.
The gold statue can be found at the beginning with the huge ladder, but the silver one is hidden somewhere in the jungle, which I was able to find over here. Place the statues in these pedestals and this door opens up, leading us back into Lost World. We're in that one room with the changing tiles that let you walk up walls. But we also get some exclusive music for Knuckles, which makes it more jazzy sounding. But honestly, this is a good segment for Knuckles. Of course, him being able to climb up any wall kinda makes these tiles useless, but the emeralds are hidden in some clever spots. Lost World, it's a decent stage. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that if you touch this mystical light we've been seeing throughout the game, she'll give you hints as to where the emeralds are located. After finding the emerald pieces in Lost World, we get transported back in time again. This time, we're at the Master Emerald Altar. and we see Tikal trying to plead the Master Emerald, or whatever it is protecting it, to take the Chao and the Chaos Emeralds away from here, because her father, Pachacamac, is coming. However, the Emerald, or whoever she's talking with, refuses, stating they cannot leave. Tikal understands and tries to talk with her father again. And then, we're back at the Emerald Altar in the present time.
What? I'm back in front of the altar. This is beginning to blow my mind. Wait a minute, I remember. The broken pieces of the Master Emerald. I have to restore them to where they belong.
Knuckles then reassembles the pieces he found, but he's missing a few pieces. As Knuckles wonders where they could be, the Master Emerald is like,
Dude, go to the flying fortress thingy.
Is that where the other emerald pieces are?
Yee.
And then we see Gamma show up, and Knuckles follows him to Eggman's base. And by that logic, the egg carrier. Now we're on the egg carrier, and... Ah yes, the egg carrier has changed shape again. And you know what that means? Skydeck! But the entrance to the Skydeck is now in what I assume to be Eggman's private pool. Kind of an odd place to have your entrance to a part of the ship being underwater, but hey, I'm not questioning it. This is actually a really fun stage for Knuckles, because we have the ability to tilt the ship. It's really fun tilting the stage in a certain angle to find emerald pieces. Like, I tilt the ship up, and behind this door is an emerald piece. I like it when the level is affected by our actions. But as soon as we grab the final emerald pieces, we're whisked back into the past one last time. And this time we see Tikal unconscious on the floor, and we can hear the faint roar of a monster in the distance. Knuckles sees the Master Emerald. Tikal gets up and runs to the emerald. And just as it suddenly happened, we're suddenly back in the present. As Knuckles is leaving the ship and wondering what he just saw, he then witnesses a bright light and... gargles? Odd sound to make, but whatever. Knuckles investigates and he sees Sonic chase after Eggman, and as Knuckles gets ready to leave, Chaos 6 shows up again, and this is the final boss for Knuckles. He basically behaves like the Sonic fight, but with Knuckles, I feel he's a teensy bit tougher. What with Chaos attacks being more horizontal based and Knuckles having the ability to glide. Also, certain parts of the floor are exposed, and if you stand on them, you take damage. But it's still pretty fun. Just chuck these freeze boss into his mouth, punch him a few times, and you have defeated Chaos 6. Knuckles then reassembles the Master Emerald, and Angel Island floats back into the sky. And that is the end of Knuckles' story.
Guarding the Master Emerald again. I may not know the whole story behind this, but perhaps it's better that way. I'm at peace once more.
Now let's move on to Amy!
Oh boy!
We start off with Amy reminiscing when she and Sonic used to go on adventures, with a neat little reference to Sonic's CD. Also, it looks like she was getting groceries. All of a sudden, she sees the egg carrier flying over Station Square. As she was gawking, she gets smacked in the face with a little flicky wearing a pendant around its neck. Then she gets chased by a robot. They hide in the burger shop, and Amy vows to protect this little birdie. We then get to play as Amy. Now, Amy's controls are a teensy bit like Sonic's. I mean, obviously, since they're both hedgehogs, she can run and jump, but she's not as fast as Sonic. Also, she doesn't roll up into a ball. Instead, it's more like a regular jump, but she attacks with her Pico Pico hammer. And if she runs fast enough, she can use the Pico Pico hammer to launch herself up much higher than a normal jump. She also does these amazing flips in the air. We look around for a little bit and then we find Sonic, who she asks if he can help her watch over this little birdie.
No way!
Come on, don't run away! Oh!
We then walk in front of Twinkle Park. see the sign for cute couples get in free, and we get introduced to the first stage, Twinkle Park. Now here is how Amy's gameplay works. It's somewhat similar to Sonic's gameplay, what with the whole make it to the end bit, but the whole time you're running away from this robot named Zero. He'll constantly chase after you and try to grab you. All you have to do is get to the end of the stage and grab the balloon. One thing that is new about Twinkle Park though, is that Amy has a section of the stage that's exclusively tied to her. And it's this weird mirror room. And it's really weird too, due to the fact that we're in an amusement park and this section of the stage is like really eerie in atmosphere. I mean, it's kind of fitting considering you have a 7-foot-tall robot chasing after you, but after you get out of this section of the stage, it returns back to the cheerful music of Twinkle Park. After getting out of Twinkle Park, Amy thinks she's lost Zero.
Hello there.
Ah!
Gotcha, bitch!
Hey, watch it, bolt brain! Let us down! Help! Sonic!
And we later find ourselves on the egg carrier. We then get a cutscene with Gamma trying to get Amy to give up the bird.
I know you might hurt us both. Please, Mr. Robot. Won't you help us, please?
This is what I like most about Amy. She sees the good in people, even if said person is a robot. Oddly enough, Gamma lets Amy go, which is interesting.
It's dangerous here. Hurry, we'll be at the Mystic Ruins base soon.
While she tries to escape, she has to clear this minigame, Hedgehog Hammer, which is essentially just whack-a-mole but Sonic themed. And in order for her to get out of the room, she has to best Eggman's high score of 2,000 points. You have the Sonic dolls, which are 100 points, the Super Sonic doll, which is 500 points, and Eggman is worth negative 200 points. It's not that hard, but the dolls pop up really fast, and you have to be on your toes to make sure you hit the Sonic dolls and avoid the Eggman dolls. Eventually, you'll beat Eggman's high score, and get Amy's first upgrade, the Warrior Feather, which allows Amy to spin her Pico Pico hammer if you hold the action button and spin your control stick. It's honestly not that useful, unless you have a bunch of enemies swarming you, but it does add to her cuteness. Anyway, now that we're free, we move on to Stage 2, a stage that is exclusive to Amy, Gamma, and Big, Hot Shelter. It's kind of similar to Final Egg, but it's got a range of different ideas, like these doors that Amy has to crank open. You can also make her dance to the music if you really want to. After this, you end up in the inner machinations of the egg carrier, and
it's also really loud in here!
At least with this section with the gears. But that is really loud. It's so loud you can barely hear the music. But it does quiet down after you get to this bridge, which we also see some block puzzles. They show you this in a room without Zero chasing you, but after that, jump scares? In my Sonic game? Honestly, it's not that bad, but I'd imagine this surprising new players. Startled me when I was a kid. Getting back on point, you later do the same puzzle, but this time with Zero harassing you. But he's not a problem. Even though Amy is running away from Zero in all her stages, Zero is more of an inconvenience rather than a threat. You can easily topple him over with Amy's Pico Pico hammer, either from the front or the back, but he'll always get back up. Eventually, we make it to the end of the stage, and while she's being whisked away by the gold balloon, that mystical light from before flashes Amy back to the past. But this time, we see Tikal meeting the Chow for the first time, and by extension, the Guardian of the Master Emerald, which, before we get to see, we find ourselves back in the present.
Gee, what was that? I wonder if I'm dreaming. Oh my! I need to get out of this place!
And as she attempts to escape, Eggman blocks her off, and we get to see Eggman grab Birdie and yank the Chaos Emerald it was carrying. We also skip the fight with Gamma, and skip to this part where Amy defends Gamma.
This robot is different. You don't need to hurt him, okay?
Amy! Okay, I guess I'll let him go then.
The A carrier's losing altitude.
We're fresh out of time. Take Amy and clear out, fast!
And before Amy gets carried away by Tails, she tells Gamma to not listen to Eggman anymore and free himself.
Why are you helping me?
I said we'd be friends, and I'm returning your favor. Even this birdie wants you to be free. Eggman's not the kind of man you should work for.
Amy, come on, let's get going!
We then escape the A carrier, and she bids Tails goodbye, obviously having to deal with Eggman himself. But later learns that this birdie has a family, and that Eggman most likely had captured them, so she promised to help Birdie find its family. We then end up in the Mystic Ruins, but before we go to the jungle, we need to go back to the A carrier, which is now just floating in the middle of the ocean. So I guess it went from being an airship to just a regular ship. I guess that works. But the reason we're here is because we're going to get Amy's final upgrade. We need to best our current high score by either 3,000 points or more. And then we get the Long Hammer, which, as the name suggests, increases the distance on all of Amy's attacks, including the running hammer jump. Not a lot of people tend to get this one considering it's out of the way, and you don't technically need it, but it's something I feel it's worth coming for. After all, it's a little bit stronger than a Pico hammer, so it's definitely worth it. So, back on track, we find Eggman's base in the Mystic Ruins, and we go to Amy's final stage. What? Yeah, Amy only has 3 stages, which is a shame because I really like her gameplay. Of course, the final stage is Final Egg, and Zero makes a comeback.
Not you again!
But this stage isn't too tricky, and I feel is one of Amy's better stages.
The first part of the stage is basically the same as Sonic's, but Amy goes down a different path. And the whole time you have Zero busting through walls like he's the Kool-Aid Man's lost cousin or something. Even when you get into the elevator, he'll just jump into the abyss and then later burst through a steel door on the top floor.
What is this magic?
There's even this one room where the exit is hidden behind one of these 3 doors, and I happen to pick the right door in this playthrough. I mean, on the one hand, Zero doesn't chase you in here, but on other playthroughs, the exit will change and be hidden behind one of these 3 doors. I just happened to get lucky when I got the exit through the middle door. But after that, you get to the end and you grab the exit balloon. Amy then realizes that Birdie escaped from the A carrier, so we head back over to the A carrier one last time. And sure enough, there they are. And as soon as they get close to Amy, Birdie gets punched in the face. Amy panics and rushes to Birdie, and then she gets really angry and pulls out her hammer and smacks Zero with it. And this is the moment where Amy is fed up with Zero's antics. Then we face Amy's only boss, Zero. Zero pretty much behaves like he did in the stages. He'll try to target Amy with his laser and try to punch her. He'll also do ground pounds and send out shockwaves. But you'll notice an electric fence. And what you need to do is knock Zero into the fence to short him out, to hit his self-destruct switch. Do this 3 times and Zero will self-destruct. Soon we see Birdie get back up and fly off. And after that little bit of a freakout, soon they say goodbye to Amy.
Now you 3 can live in peace again!
And that was Amy's story. Next up, we have Gamma. We start off with Gamma being activated for the first time.
Look at me! I'm your brilliant creator, Dr. Robotnik. You're the second of my E100 model machines. E102, codename Gamma.
Eggman guides us over to the shooting range, where apparently his big brother, E101 Beta, is practicing, which Gamma's first stage is Final Egg.
Well, that's a little weird.
Okay, so before I explain Gamma's gameplay, here's some trivia. Apparently, during the days of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, fans originally wanted shooting mechanics to be implemented into the Sonic series. Of course, giving Sonic a gun just isn't part of Sonic's character, so instead, Gamma was created. And there's also a possible nod to the Egg Robo enemies in Sonic and Knuckles. Gamma is all about shooting. But we're not firing bullets, no, we're firing lasers. But the reason we're shooting is because each time we destroy a target, more time gets added onto our clock. Yeah, Gamma stages are set on a time limit, and if the time runs out, it's game over and you lose a life. But that rarely ever happens unless you just straight up refuse to shoot or take too long. Anyway, we finish the stage by blowing up a Sonic doll.
Gotta say, that's a pretty hardy Sonic doll. I mean, it took 3 hits just to destroy. Quality craftsmanship, maybe?
We meet up with Eggman again, and this time, Gamma is forced to face his brother, Beta, in combat. So Beta is our first boss. And I guess after this, we go into Alpha. But he's pretty easy. Just shoot him a couple of times, and he is defeated. Gamma wins and is recruited for Eggman's egg carrier crew. Beta also wants to come along, but Eggman only sees him necessary as spare parts.
That doesn't sound good.
Anyway, we see the egg carrier make its launch, and we're called to a meeting. Here we see our fellow brothers in arms, E103 Delta, E104 Epsilon, and E105 Zeta. Eggman gives us our first mission, locating a frog with a tail.
I command you to locate this frog immediately! You hear me? I don't care what it takes to get it. Just bring it to me!
So we go to Station Square, shoot down these targets, and enter Stage 2, Emerald Coast. It's really short, but still super fun to go through. There's plenty of robots to shoot down, and you can also achieve a decent level of speed. Because one thing I forgot to mention is how you notice how each of the characters are able to go in water? Yeah, Gamma is the only one who refuses to go in water. Anytime you try to intentionally drive him near any sort of water, it will just float. It's really funny. And also, if Gamma is running fast enough, he changes modes and switches into like a somewhat vehicle mode. Although, I really wouldn't call this a vehicle, more like I'm crouching and I have wheels. Anyway, as soon as we grab Froggy, we get transported back in time again.
Must determine location. Accessing data. No data found. Location unknown. This presents a problem.
I just love how deadpan he is. He's a robot, yes, but he has a certain level of sass, and I just love it. Anyway, we see a bunch of chows singing in a field, and Tikal stops us at first, but notices that we're not one of them, and talks about how these chow are protected by a guardian who watches over them, and how her father, Pachucamak, is trying to take their home. We then find ourselves back on the egg carrier, and listen to the E100 models arguing on who has the correct frog, even though we clearly have the correct frog. Once Eggman inspects us, he notices we have Froggy, and he just straight up banishes the others. Damn, dude, that's kinda cold. Gamma's next assignment is to interrogate a girl with a bird and go through that door. Of course, somehow Gamma screws up on which door he needs to enter through, so he goes through one door and sees something he probably shouldn't have.
Beta.
Man, even if you're a robot, that must be horrifying. Seeing your brother being taken apart and put back together with different parts. I wonder how he feels.
This is the wrong room.
Oh, Gamma. Anyway, we go through that one scene of Gamma interrogating Amy.
Go away!
Give me the bird.
Alright, but I don't see how this helps anything.
Gamma then lets go of Amy.
You're not like those other robots, huh? You truly are a good person inside, aren't you? I guess we can be friends then. Take care, okay?
And we report back to Eggman, who tells us to get the jet booster from the ammunition room. So we do that, and we get the jet booster, Gamma's first upgrade. It allows him to hover for as long as the button is held. We then go up deck and fight Sonic, but this time Gamma is the one who wins.
Wait, what? That's not how it goes.
Although that is one thing I want to point out with the cutscenes. Whenever you fight a particular character, some things still happen the same, or sometimes they'll be slightly different, but they'll still follow along with the story. Like that one scene where Tails is the one who has to fight Knuckles, or what just recently happened with Gamma beating Sonic. I mean, I can somewhat understand, but it's still a little weird and kind of throws off the chronology a little bit. Getting back on track, he's then stopped by Amy, who begs him to stop, which he does. Afterwards, we go through the process of fleeing the egg carrier because it's starting to fall out of the sky. But before we go, Gamma then asks Amy a question.
Why do you help me?
I told you we'd be friends the next time we met. Even Birdie wants the best for you. You must ditch that awful Eggman.
Amy, come on!
After that, we see Tails whisk away Amy, and soon we see Gamma slowly descending and a bunch of images flash on screen.
Dr. Robotnik. Enemy. Master registration deleted. E-Series. Friends. Must save.
So now, we have our goal. Find the rest of the E100 robots and liberate them. So, we pick up the Windstone from Tails' workshop and go to Stage 3, Windy Valley. This is a really fun stage for Gamma, because it's designed with the jet booster in mind. Also, there are obstacles that punish you if you're too trigger happy, like having enemies on bridges that blow up if you destroy them. But at the end of the stage, we fight E103 Delta. And he's just as easy as the beta fight. In fact, when you fight the E100 models, expect to have an easy time gunning them down. Also, back when I said that Gamma's goal is to liberate them, what Gamma actually means is to destroy the robots and unleash the animals that are inside them. After freeing Delta, we then make our way over to Red Mountain, and this time we're in the underground volcano section. And just like before, this is also a really fun stage to go through with plenty of targets and lots of areas to build up speed and hover around. We then fight E104 Epsilon and gun him down easily. After that, Gamma goes down the list of E100 models, stating that Delta and Epsilon are rescued, and that Zeta and Beta might still be on the egg carrier. So we head down this ladder and go onto this raft, which takes us to the egg carrier, and Zeta is apparently in hot shelter. Before we head over there, we decide to pick up Gamma's final upgrade, the Laser Blaster, which boosts the power of his laser blast and makes them all really cool and glowy. We then head into Gamma's final stage, Hot Shelter. Hot Shelter, I feel, is Gamma's best stage. Lots of stuff to shoot, areas you can hover across, and this one section where Gamma gets loaded onto a cargo freight and you gun down enemies while making your way to the engine is really cool. We then face against Zeta, who has gotten much bigger the last time we saw him. I also like the fact that he's literally got Dreamcast built into his body. But he's even easier than the other robots. Just shoot down his missiles and hit him a couple of times and you have easily defeated Zeta. And after leaving, Gamma then lists off the remaining units.
Units remaining. Gamma. Beta.
And this leads us into the final boss for Gamma. This is by far one of the best bosses in Sonic Adventure. He's got a badass theme, unique attacks, and he even deflects your blasts if you try to hit him. You basically have to wait until he charges at you, dodge, and hit him. And you cannot tell me that when he's firing explosive blasts on the stage, it immediately makes you think of something from Dragon Ball Z. After defeating Beta, Gamma investigates and gets blasted in the face by Beta, which then shortly blows up. Oh look, it's a Flicky! Actually, that's the same Flicky we saw in Amy's story. And as the Flicky looks behind him and flies away, as Gamma limps off, suddenly an image flashes on the screen. And thus, we have finished Gamma's story. And now, we look at the one, the only, Big the Cat.
Okay. Alright, let's do this.
In all seriousness, though, I actually like Big. Sure, he's not the best character and stylistically he's out of place, but he's just a big, lovable dork, and I can't fault him for that. Also, he's voiced by the same guy who did Duke Nukem. How can you say no to that? We open up with a night scene of the Mystic Ruins jungle. We see Froggy wake up and investigate. We then see Chaos in its puddle form, and it lunges for Froggy. When Big wakes up, Froggy now has a tail. He then swallows the Chaos Emerald and then hops away. Apparently, Froggy is Big's best friend, and knows something is wrong with him. He then follows Froggy to Station Square, where we go into this sewer to pick up a lore upgrade. There's a couple of different lore upgrades hidden throughout the adventure fields and even in some stages, but the one in the sewers I feel is the only one you ever need. And we then head into a different part of the sewers by lifting up this car. Yeah, Big is super strong. Dare I say, maybe even stronger than Knuckles.
Oh no!
Perish the thought!
Anyway, we then head into the first stage, Twinkle Park, which the entire stage is just the pool section. Which is good because Big's whole gimmick is that his stages are fishing based, and in order to clear the stage, you need to catch Froggy. Just cast your line and try to catch Froggy, which is super easy for me because I know a little trick to catching anything from a fish to Froggy every single time. But I'll share that later. After catching Froggy, we then pick up the ice key, which this time is behind Twinkle Park. Weird. Anyway, we pick up the ice key and then we unlock Ice Cap. We also grab Big's next upgrade, the Life Belt, which allows Big to float in water. And if you need to dive, you just hold the jump button. We then head into the second stage, Ice Cap, where the entire stage is just the ice caverns, but you pick up this rock to break open the ice to fish in. And, just like before, I'm able to catch Froggy with no problem whatsoever. Big then heads back to the Mystic Ruins and see Tails holding Froggy. He charges forward, trips, and Tails loses his grip and Froggy hops away. Meaning, we have to go back to Station Square.
Man, this is turning into a wild goose chase. Or frog chase in this context. I don't know!
Now, before we go back to Station Square, we need to make a quick trip to Big's house in the jungle. Because, if you remember in the beginning, we see that same green glowy light when we find an upgrade. So, we lift up Big's bed, and we got Big's final upgrade, the Power Rod, which allows Big to cast his line further, and it's also a little stronger when attacking enemies. Then we go to Stage 3, Emerald Coast. Now, here is a stage that has recently got some fame and infamy due to the Game Grumps playing through this game.
Get it, like it, want it, have it, need it. Why? Why?
Now, as fun as it is to see Aaron just lose his mind, but he claims...
Is there another lure upgrade you could have gotten? It's just random, dude. It's...
Actually, no it isn't. Sure, you could catch Froggy without doing anything, but that is very rare / hard to do. Instead, if you want a way to catch Froggy 100% of the time when you play as Big the Cat, this is all you need to do. You just cast your line, lure Froggy in, and hold down on the control stick. This will make your lure bob in place, and once a fish or Froggy takes a bite, they're instantly caught. All you have to do is reel them in and you finish the stage. I guarantee you this works 100% of the time in all stages. Now, back to chatting about Big. As soon as we catch Froggy, Gamma takes Froggy.
What?
And we then find ourselves on the egg carrier and go to Big's final stage, Hot Shelter, which is kind of fitting due to this opening section looking like an aquarium. We then see Froggy in one of the holding tanks, so we drain the tanks and fish out Froggy. And we complete the stage. But this time, Big holds on to Froggy super tight, and we then get transported back into the past, one final time. This time, we see Tikal coming across the Master Emerald altar for the first time, and seeing the Master Emerald for the first time.
The servers are the 7 Chaos Emeralds, unified by one that is the controller. The 7 Chaos, the controller itself. Could this be the emerald that controls the 7 Chaos?
Then, we're back in the present, and we make our escape on the monorail. At least Big knows how to escape in style. We then see Chaos in his Chaos 4 form. Try saying that 3 times fast. We then learn why Froggy was acting weird. Froggy was possessed by Chaos's tail. He then gets absorbed into Chaos 6's being, and Chaos has its tail back. You also see Sonic for the first time.
Unbelievable! Look what happened! Chaos has transformed again!
We then face Chaos 6, Big's only boss. But I wouldn't say it's a boss in the traditional sense. Sure, he'll approach you
menacingly,
but all you really have to do is to cast your line into Chaos and just yank Froggy out. Of course, this is harder than it sounds.
2 hours later.
Aha! There we go. We got Froggy, and Big takes the Tornado 2.
But I don't know the first thing about it. Oh well, I'll give it a try anyway.
We then cut to the jungle in Mystic Ruins, and I just love how silly this segment is. It's like something out of a Buddy B movie. But that is the end of Big's story. Alright, we have finished all 6 characters, but we only have one last story to go through, and that would be Supersonic, which you can only unlock after you played as every other character. I feel this is a neat little surprise back then, playing all the stories to unlock a special story. It's really cool because you got to see all the different perspectives of the story going on, all leading up to one final story. So, when we start, we see Angel Island falling again? What? Okay, there's something going on here. But then we see Eggman in the jungle of the Mystic Ruin. He's then jumped by chaos! Soon, we see Knuckles contemplating on why Angel Island is still falling. He suspects that it has something to do with the Chaos Emeralds he picked up back when he was on the egg carrier. He then notices Eggman on the floor, passed out. Knuckles rushes to him and tries to talk to him. Eggman tries to warn us about Chaos, but it's already too late. Soon, we see Sonic relaxing.
Sonic!
Hey there, Tails! Did you find the tornado too?
Never mind that. Get up and follow me. Angel Island is falling again.
Hey, no way! Who blew it this time?
We then head over to Angel Island to see what's up. We then find Knuckles and Eggman.
Sonic, sorry.
Knuckles! And Eggman! What happened here?
He stole my Chaos Emeralds. And Chaos is still alive.
What?
Soon, Eggman gets back up and flies off to probably do something about Chaos. Knuckles then warns us that if Chaos gets that final emerald, things could go south real quick. Sonic then gets transported back in time once more. Then we see what happened on that fateful day. Tikal tries to plead her father, Pachacamac, to stop, but he disregards her warning and charges, his men traveling over the defenseless Chow. This angers the guardian of the Master Emerald, and we see that it's actually Chaos. He then transforms into his perfected form and slaughters Pachacamac and his men. Of course, we don't actually see any of this happen, but it's heavily implied. However, Tikal wakes up and immediately rushes over to the Master Emerald, and she chants that saying her grandmother taught her, and it suddenly makes sense to her. The Master Emerald can control the Chaos Emeralds, and has the ability to change our thoughts and feelings into power. So she uses that power to seal chaos within the Master Emerald. Sonic then wakes back up.
I was on a snooze cruise, I guess.
Then he and Tails look for the tornado too, which we know that it's in the jungle of the Mystic Ruins. So we go there, and before we can grab the emerald, a pillar of water shows up and snags the emerald. Chaos now has all 7 emeralds. Then, we see this happen. Station Square floods, and then we see it. Chaos's final form. Sonic gets ready to fight, But then we see Eggman in another egg carrier, who tries to use it on Chaos.
Egg Carrier 2 was made because something like this could happen. You have defied your master, stupid beast. Now you must be destroyed at all costs.
Sonic then vows to take down Chaos. But then we see the same mystical light we've been seeing throughout the entire game, and it's revealed that this light is actually Tikal. Now I realized this ever since I was a kid, and I'm sure most people can make the connections. But to those who didn't, you have to admit, this must have been a pretty cool plot twist. Tikal then explains that on that day, she had to seal Chaos and herself inside the Master Emerald to stop him from destroying the world. Because, ever since that day, Chaos has been in immense anger and sorrow. Soon, Chaos absorbs the energy from the Chaos Emeralds, and Tikal claims that he must be sealed in the Master Emerald immediately. But then Sonic brings up a very good point.
How can that help? It won't change how he feels inside, will it? His heart will still remain in turmoil, and his anger just won't vanish. He'll just be trapped forever.
Which, again, I have to admit, is a very good point. Anger cannot just disappear. It needs to go away on its own, or something needs to calm him down. We then see Big, Tails, Knuckles, and then Amy. They give the Chaos Emeralds to Sonic, and Tails states that Chaos only used the negative energy of the Emerald, and states that the Emerald's true power is in the positive energy. We then hear the people of Station Square cheer Sonic on.
Go, Sonic! Yeah, Sonic!
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 Negative forces aren't the only way to empower the Chaos Emeralds. Our positive feelings toward each other can make them work. Our hearts together form awesome power.
And soon, he transforms into Super Sonic. We then fight the final boss. We also hear the best theme in the entire game. Open Your Heart. It's so badass, and it just pumps you up with so much energy. All we have to do to fight perfect Chaos is by going as fast as we can to ram ourselves into Chaos and hit his brain. All the while collecting rings to maintain your super form and dodging Chaos's attacks, which, if they hit you, will slow you down. And if you're slow enough, they'll spit you back out. There's two phases to this. The first phase, you have Open Your Heart playing in the background and you hit him 3 times. And in the second phase, Perfect Chaos's theme will play. And in this stage, he's pulling out all the stops. Energy pellets, cyclones, and he'll even fire a massive beam at you. Just make sure you avoid his attacks. Hit him 3 more times and Chaos has been defeated.
Hey, I'll play with you some other time.
We then see Chaos in its base Chaos Zero form, and then we see a bunch of Chow rushing over to Chaos. This time, Chaos has changed, but this time it's for the better.
Yeah! Super Sonic must have neutralized it, so it's nice again.
We then see Tikal appear once more, telling Chaos that in his absence, the Chow have survived and lived peacefully among humans.
The fighting's over, harmony's restored, and life goes on. Thank you so much.
Tikal thanks us, and we then see Tikal and Chaos ascend into the heavens and vanish. Sonic looks up and sees Eggman, who flies away.
All's well that ends well, right? Sonic?
Sonic has disappeared. We then see him jumping from building to building. probably pursuing Eggman once again and signifying a new adventure is on the horizon. And then, credits.
And that was Sonic Adventure. It's a game that I still love, even to this day, but I'm not the only one who thinks that. A friend of mine, who goes by the name of Maxie, also loves Sonic Adventure. And since this video is already as long as it is, here's a few short words from him. Maxie, what do you have to say?
Sonic Adventure Director's Cut has been deeply rooted into my childhood so far that I still have my copy for my GameCube to this day. By far one of my favorite entries in the Sonic series, next to its sequel, of course. Sure, the voice acting can be a little...
Back in Station Square, I see. What's going on here anyway?
Wonky at times, but the elements of great storytelling lie within this gem of a game. One of my favorite stories of this game has to be Big the Gamma's story, with a close second being Tails' story. This game is chock full of glitches, some of them helpful, some of them extraordinarily detrimental. Either way, it makes the game more personalized to your experience, for better and sometimes much, much worse. Let's not forget the fact that John St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem, had to physically train himself to forget to do Big the Cat's voice. At least from what I heard, anyway. That's some serious dedication to disliking being a character, let alone liking the character itself. Well, I think I've been on the mic long enough. It's your turn back in the spotlight, my friend.
Thank you for your input, Maxie. Now, if you think me talking about all 7 stories in Sonic Adventure was enough, well, I'm afraid you're wrong, because there's even more stuff to do in this game. Like searching for all the emblems, completing all the stages C, B, and A missions, playing all the sub-games, and even the Chow Garden. How can I not talk about the Chow Garden? In this game, there are 3 Chow Gardens. One in Station Square, one in the Mystic Ruins, and even on the Egg Carrier. I guess even an evil genius like Dr. Eggman has a weak spot for these adorable little creatures. You can raise your Chow by giving them animals, fruits, and toys. You can also raise them to compete in Chow races. Now, I don't have enough time to showcase this, because if I did, this video would go on way longer than it needs to, but I will say this, the Chow Gardens are a nice change of pace from the speed and action you usually get from the stages. And they're even better in the sequel, Sonic Adventure 2, and its GameCube port, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. However, that is not the coolest thing, because in the DX version of Sonic Adventure, if you get all 130 emblems, you can unlock Metal Sonic in the mission mode. He's basically just a reskin of Sonic, and they use his model from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle instead of the Metal Sonic model that's already in this game. I'm sure there's a mod out there somewhere that can swap out the models, but it's still a pretty cool inclusion.
However, I still think that Sonic Adventure is still a good game despite the many flaws it has. And in fact, most of those flaws, like I've mentioned, like the collision detection and the poor sound mixing, can easily be fixed that make this version more like the Dreamcast original.
Okay, I know this video is already long, but I had to talk about this. So, if you're not familiar with the Sonic community's knack for making mods, hacking Sonic games to add, change, or remove certain bits of content in Sonic games, or make new games out of them, then you should take a look at PKR's SA1 mod installer, which not only fixes all the issues I talked about in this video, like the collision detection or the poor sound mixing, not only that, the lighting and the textures get replaced with the Dreamcast Original's textures and uses the Lantern engine, which behaves exactly like the lighting engine on the Dreamcast. And it brings so much life into these levels, and for the longest time when I was a kid, I never realized that this weird thing on the floor of the sewer section of Casinopolis was supposed to be light coming from the vent above. If you want to learn about this particular mod, then feel free to check out this video afterwards.
So, that means that Sonic Adventure on Steam with mods is the definitive way to play this game nowadays. However, I feel like with the popularity of this particular game, I feel it's about time that Sonic Adventure got a remake. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But know that this isn't going to be the only time I talk about Sonic on this channel. And who knows? Maybe if I reach, say, 1,000 subscribers, that I will talk about one particular game. Maybe.
Thank you so much for watching. Man, this has been a long video to work on, but hopefully I should be able to do another video soon. I missed Halloween, sadly, but I'm currently working on a belated Halloween special. So if you want to see that, you should consider subscribing to the channel. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so that when I do upload it, you immediately get notified. Also, if you like this video, feel free to give it a like and comment down below. But again, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day. So until next time, I'll see you later.